This is the Collecting Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Purse, here with your co-host, Bill Hamill.
I'm so much more comfortable collecting real estate than I am collecting other stuff.
Lee Fjord, thank you for being here. Really excited for this episode. Lee is a really successful syndicator, also a member of the Jake and Gino community. Lee, can we get right into it? I want to hear more about you, more about your real estate background.
Stephen, Bill, thank you for having me on the show. I can't tell you how excited I am to share my story with your audience. It's been a wild ride. I started in property management a decade ago in 2012. Built a property management group of scattered site single families over the course of a 4-year period to about 220 units. Started investing with my own money, doing it the wrong way, with my own tools and my own money on a duplex that I bought for cash in the, let's just call it an up-and-coming part of town. And it took me a year to get 2 doors turned over. Just doing it the wrong way, not partnering with anybody, not, bringing in any systems or relying on others to help me do it in a more professional manner. But I learned some lessons along the way over about an 18-month period and decided that partnering with others was really the best way to scale. So in 2019, I bought a 38 unit. 2020, I bought a 76 unit. In 2021, picked up a 70 unit and a 272 unit, which was my second syndication. The first being the 76. It was a 506C, all accredited investor capital raise in a Midwest tertiary market outside of St. Louis where I reside. And we focus on finding niche markets, tertiary markets that have growing populations that are still dominated by mom and pop owners. And then we bring in professional third-party management, efficiencies in leasing and marketing, just raise the bar in the marketplace. We love tertiary markets. We love value-add multifamily. And we love, bringing along accredited and non-accredited investors in some cases with us to help share in the benefits.
Well, I've gotten to know you quite a bit, but I didn't know that detailed history where you started off with the smalls, property manager yourself, and then you had that aha moment, I presume, is saying, like a lot of us, it's time to scale, and you've scaled and you use third-party property management. Being a property manager in the past, it's something you're just not interested in anymore, or do you think you'll vertically integrate at some point?
My coach explained it to me in a wonderful way at one point in time. He said, Lee, learn how to do it, then hire it out. And then when you can afford to have a CEO of your management company run the company for you, then go vertically integrated, bring it all back in-house. So theoretically, one day there'll be an opportunity to be able to go vertically integrated, but we aren't at the size yet to where we would be able to do that. Now, I work with a great property management group, actually 2 of them, because we're spread in 2 different markets geographically, and they work tirelessly. They do a wonderful job at doing what they do, and they're worth every nickel. But it would not make sense for me to take my attention away from, my investors and finding better opportunities and making sure that those properties are being run as efficiently as possible in exchange for recruiting, training, and managing amazing property management staff, which is what really the property management business is, in my mind. It's a human-centric, it's a human capital business. You're only as successful as how well you're able to recruit and train your employees, and that takes a lot of time. A lot of systems and a lot of effort go into that process. And if I were to step away from focusing on finding opportunities to acquire, finding wonderful, partners to come along the, ride with me, it would take away from that. So you kind of have to pick your train tracks and ride on those. And I'm kind of focused on that, finding great opportunities and finding great partners to do it with.
There's a couple really good messages in there. I like that idea of learning how to do it and then outsource it. And Lee, really impressive growth. You know, Bill and I are always saying, go bigger, go faster. You definitely did that. Really, really impressed by the scale that you achieved. You mentioned having a coach. How has that been for you?
So hiring a person who you bring into your life to give you professional advice is the most powerful thing that I ever did in my career. It is it is the difference maker for me to be able to scale my business. It's the reason why I've been able to have the hockey stick of momentum that we've created, or that I've been able to focus on and achieve. Essentially, I believe anybody can do it. Anybody can build a portfolio of, multifamily investments. They can accomplish their goals under their own efforts. Real estate is a business where you can literally become a billionaire in a single generation if you work hard enough and you have the right plan. But hiring and surrounding yourself with the right people who have been there and done that and experienced things and can help you avoid mistakes, it's the easy pass. It's the fast pass. It's the way to skip the line. Like if you go to Disneyland and you go to buy your tickets, well, you get into Disneyland either way. The question is, are you going to spend that extra bucks on being able to skip the line and go straight to the top, or skip the waiting and in the heat and the sun in Disneyland? I would do that every time because my time is so valuable. Money. Oh yeah, it's the one thing you can't ever get back.
That's a great analogy, the Disney line. You cough up another $75 or $100 per kid, and instead of sitting there sweating in 90-degree heat in Florida waiting to get on a ride that there's 200 people in line. Yeah, what's our most valuable commodity? Time.
Time.
You can teach your kids that in the Disneyland line that you're bypassing. Getting back to that coach, is it a specific real estate investor coach, and was it the accountability part of what coaches offer, where you may know the path that you need to take to get to where you want to be, but you need someone to hold you accountable? Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So I actually have two coaches now. I have a syndication coach who is an experienced syndicator, has done many, many deals. He is the industry-specific coach. That is the guy that I turn to and I say, is this the right deal for me? Take a look at my numbers, poke some holes in the boat. Let's see if, this is the right thing. Or do I have the right business strategy? And then I also have an accountability coach as well. That accountability coach is, let's just say, less expensive. He is the guy that I talk to weekly. He is the guy that I plan out my week with. He is the guy that holds me to my goals every single week. And, we message each other multiple times, sometimes multiple times a day. And he literally is the guy that, holds me to my strategy, my to-do list. So I have my macro coach, and then I have my micro coach. And both are important in their own ways.
It's a great approach. I heard you mention St. Louis as your market, and I don't want to be held accountable for this, but I think I read that was the only market to see a decrease in rents this year. Does that sound right?
I don't believe that's the case, because I've seen across the board, in every single one of my properties, I've increased rent this year. I think It depends on where you're investing. I'll have to look that up, but that's a very interesting statistic that I would be surprised at, considering that, like at my 76 unit, we were renting 2-bedroom apartments last year for, let's say $700. I think it was $760 per month. We bought it in 20, and we were 20, and we were renting them we bought them at $625 a month. We went to $760, and now I'm renting that same apartment for $875. So micro markets are kind of what I focus on, and I wouldn't be surprised if that statistic was pulled from a very small section of St. Louis, probably St. Louis City County. But people are moving in different directions in any municipality. I focus on where the people are moving to, and I try to avoid the places where people are moving from. A lot of people are moving, away from the downtown area of Cincinnati or St. Louis, and they're moving into the, the urban core, the urban areas. And yeah, we've been successful at raising rents from originally $625 to now $875 for these 2-bedroom apartments that we bought not even 2 years ago.
So it comes down to you being familiar with your market. You know your pockets. You know the pockets to stay away from. You know the pockets that you're interested in. And I did notice that your niche there was growing population. So do you have to check that box automatically? Otherwise, it's a non-starter.
Generally, yes. And that population growth is not the MSA. St. Louis is a linear market. It is a linear market as a whole. There is not 2% population growth moving to this, the greater MSA of St. Louis in a given time right now. But people move from one area to another pretty, you can pretty well figure it out once you're here for long enough and you watch where people are moving to and from, and certain neighborhoods where people are, where, for example, the 38 unit that we bought in 2019, I noticed that all of the surrounding neighborhoods, a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, would be rented for between $750 and $850 per month. When we bought this property, the rents were $425. And it's the neighborhood directly sandwiched between or surrounded by these 3 other neighborhoods where 1-bedrooms were, 50, almost 100% more. In some cases 100. So I found that pocket to be something that I wanted to focus on, and then I found the right property in that neighborhood, and then I bought it. Now I'm renting those 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartments for $700 a month. So we went from a $425 rent to a $700 rent by finding the right pocket in the right location.
It's all about knowing your market and sticking to that criteria that you set. You mentioned raising capital with accredited investors, having a 506c raise. Can you tell us more about that process?
Absolutely. So I love having conversations with investors who are interested in investing in real estate, because I can convince them almost every single time that their time is better spent partnering with people who have been there and done that, who can invest in larger properties. They can take advantage of scale, better financing, professional third-party management, so on and so forth, and get the same, if not better, returns on their capital invested than they would going out and buying a duplex or a 4-family and going and hiring the low budget management company that, the manager themselves or the owner of the company is driving around town on a rusty pickup truck, and you're hiring this guy to run your business for you. No, thank you. No, thank you. I've been there. I've done that. No. I want the guy who's sitting in the office running a business with 100 employees that has multiple screens, making sure the systems are being made, employees are being trained, that they're all wearing logoed shirts, so on and so forth. That's the company I want to work with. And you can generally only find those companies when you invest in or own larger properties. Professional third-party managers generally only run larger properties. I've never found a great manager that runs a house portfolio, ever. Not ever. Like, they can say they're good, but no, I haven't found one yet. And there's too many headaches, and it's illiquid. and it's you're having to go through the process of getting approved for financing and taking out loans, and and approving tenants, and if the roof leaks, you're getting calls, and if the flood happens, you're getting calls, and you're all of the things that a person shouldn't have to do, especially an accredited investor. If you're at such a high level of success that you're earning over $200,000 a year, or you're worth $1 million, you shouldn't be driving around town with a weed whacker in the back of your trunk. Like, why bother? Go focus on the thing that you're best at, and then partner with the people that are awesome at what they do, and you'll yield much better returns. We're projecting, it is if I was 60, so I can speak to it, but we're projecting almost 12% cash on cash returns. And we're also achieving, or we will achieve, and we project an average of almost 24% return on your money. And that doesn't even count the fact that, you can, depreciation, the fact that we're able to utilize a cost segregation study to decrease your overall investment into the deal when you consider your in-year investment of cash and your decrease of your overall capital gains, assuming you have other K1 income, which most accredited investors do. But yeah, it's, if you look at buying a house or 4-family or duplex or whatever you're trying to do, and you look at the returns, they're probably not as good, more risky. You're dealing with low quality management. You're dealing with much higher potential vacancy risk. That's one of the biggest risks in real estate. It's vacancy risk. And you cannot achieve a higher level of vacancy risk or decrease that risk on smaller properties. On a 4-family, if you've got one vacant unit, you're 75% occupied. But on my 272 unit, I have 5 vacancies. And you better believe I'm not happy when we have 5. I'm okay when we have 3.
But at the same time,
I'm on my
it's still
every time.
It's a great percentage. There's so much to unpack there. You gave me some anxiety with those water leaks, the roof leaks, and being a property manager for so long, and then that manager owner running around worth more than $1 million with a weed whacker in the back of the truck. Holy smokes!
And your phone's ringing on a Sunday at 4:00 in the afternoon, and your tenant's calling saying, "Oh my Lord, the toilet has stopped up again. Please come ruin your Sunday for me."
You're writing my book for me. What not to do? What not to do? I saw the light. I agree with everything you have to say there. The one thing that I did pick out of that was you love having those conversations with those accredited investors. You're going in to those meetings with the confidence and the certainty, knowing that you have a great deal, and there's no way that you're walking out of that meeting unconvincing that this deal is a better investment vehicle than anything that they're doing. What type of conversion rate do you think you have when you're going into these types of meetings?
Obviously the meeting depends on the already established relationship. If I go into a meeting with an already established relationship with that accredited investor, then I'm already 10 feet from gold right there. They already might have an understanding of who I am, who my group is, our experience in the past, so on and so forth. So in those cases, it's much higher. Now, it's surpassing the understanding with the investor. The biggest hurdle is really not, is multifamily real estate the right vehicle? That's generally an understood concept when we enter those meetings, because they've already understood that that's what we're there to talk about. After that, it's, are we the right team? And I'm not just a one-man show. I have multiple partners that are on our team that make sure that we find the right opportunities, that we are managing our assets properly, that we provide good customer service and stay in contact with our investors. And it's not just deal by deal. It's is this the team that I want to do business with? Is this someone that I'm comfortable with stewarding a portion of my capital? And in that case, it's, I go in and I say, I've been in the business for X number of years, about a decade, started from the ground up. I was a broker for a period of time with one of the largest commercial multifamily brokerages in the country. I know how to find the right deals. I can usually sniff them out, find great opportunities, create relationships with brokers and sellers. I hire some of the best people in the industry to be able to partner with my team, so then my partners can do that as well, take advantage, and skip the rest. So conversion, if it's a no, I always do my best to try to follow up after the fact and just say, hey, how are we doing? Would you be ever interested in us, revisiting the subject of you placing some of your investment portfolio with us? I don't ever expect for someone to say yes, I'm going to sell everything I have and I'm going to put it all on this one deal. It's really just a way to diversify your portfolio properly. Anybody who has a decent sized investment portfolio should be invested in real estate. It's not everything. You don't put all of your eggs in one basket. You go and you add a portion into multifamily real estate. You should have some in all of the rest of the other products out there as well. And there's ways to be able to leverage that.
You mentioned how much easier it is to have that conversation when you have an established relationship, a warm lead as opposed to a cold lead. But when you're raising for these large deals, 272 units, it takes a large number of investors, a larger group, and you run out of warm leads eventually.
Yes.
So how are you establishing these relationships from the start?
I've been establishing those relationships my entire career, just reaching out, knowing people, try to keep track of them, keep in touch with those investors or potential, partners. And we don't just do syndications, we also do joint ventures. So if we have one investor who really likes a deal, we might have one or two investor capital partners on a single deal, as opposed to having dozens on a much larger deal. But at the end of the day, it's building the rapport, staying in touch, having a process in place to be able to do that is what I found to be the best, route to success is constantly staying in touch as much as humanly possible.
Along with doing good deals. So you do 1, 2, 3, 4 deals that you establish proof of concept. They're making the returns that you projected, and then you're able to generate that momentum and probably get a lot of comeback investors. Are your deals, do you typically go for those high rent growth, maybe some value add? Is that the typical deal you're looking at?
Yes, value add is how we create the best types of or the best returns for our investors. Value add isn't always the same, though. Each deal is a little bit different. What we try to focus on is value add investment opportunities that are not huge lifts. We don't want to tear off roofs. We don't want to reface buildings. We don't want to be building new buildings. We don't want 100% vacancy on day one. We want a stabilized cash flowing asset that has management efficiencies, good quality systems in place, plumbing, electrical, heating and cooling systems, insulation systems, roofs and windows and doors. We don't want to have to step in and gut out a whole building and have it be vacant for a long period of time, because that decreases the cash flows. The cash flows are hugely valuable. So we try to focus on management efficiencies, properties that are good quality, stable properties in good markets where the tenant base is likely to stay for longer periods of time, and where we can attract good quality tenants into that marketplace, and not have to go in and spend a lot of money on things that honestly don't really increase the value of the property. Your tenant's not going to pay more rent. You're not going to increase your net operating income by replacing roofs. I've done it.
Mm.
They don't, generally.
I think it's important to simplify everything because this is a business and it just comes down to the numbers. A lot of times it can be overwhelming to have all these industry terms, syndication, what's that? All the different operating terms that get thrown around. It's really just a business with a bottom line. And if you can raise rents, lower expenses, you're going to create value for your investors.
100%. And the key thing that we try to focus on is those decreasing expenses. If we can find ways to decrease the expenses on the property, it's and have that decrease in expense not cost money, a large amount of money, then it's a huge win for the property. Simply adding aerators on your faucets and decreasing the amount of water you might use. If you can decrease your water usage bills, and if, they charge you when it comes in and they charge you when it goes out too. So water is one of the things that we do focus our attention on, water sewer expense. And when you add the aerators, it might cost $1 per faucet to swap out that aerator, but if it saves you $1 a year, that turns into $12 in value. So you spend $1, you increase and you get a 12x return on your investment if you just add one aerator.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. I love how you said that you're not looking for those heavy lifts. I just remember even on the small properties, it just taking that path of least resistance. Why do a gut job when you can just do a quick remodel and ultimately may have the same profit margin with less time, a lot more enjoyability through that process. So I appreciate that. I also like that way that you approach the deals. You're raising rents, you're decreasing your operating costs, and that NOI is being attacked from two different angles, which really creates that full potential of that deal. Tell us a little bit more. I know you mentioned water saving. Is water expensive where you are, where you get that saving, or are you hitting a lot of different operating expenses with those efficiencies?
A lot of different operating expenses are addressed. We renegotiate. So it's not just water. We always negotiate our contracts with our subcontractors or our providers every year. So like trash, we work with a national trash negotiation company that has relationships with all of the major providers. So because they go and they negotiate the contracts on our behalf, they're able to achieve lower rates for trash. We negotiate rates for, the standard groundskeeping, landscaping things every single year. We turn to our tenants and we ask them to let us know when certain things are occurring. Like, let us know if you hear some squealing in the air conditioning closet. Preventative maintenance can actually save you money. Spending money and utilizing your on-site maintenance staff to make sure that your systems are running efficiently will save you money in the long run. Making sure that filter gets changed out every 90 days can save you a replacement, or maybe going in and thawing out a frozen system, once a year, twice a year. That's real money and can be. The other thing we focus on is this, and then we also have cable contracts that we negotiate with the local cable provider, where we sign a right of entry agreement. So then they're the exclusive provider for the property. We receive a small, sum of money on the front end, and then we receive a small piece of every single cable bill that is in place at the property. Usually it's 3 to 6%. But, when you've got 272 units and each tenant has a $60 cable bill or internet bill. I know I pay $50, $60 a month for my internet, just the internet. 5% of that adds up to quite a bit of money, $5 a month times 272 units, $550 worth of extra monthly net operating income straight to the bottom line every single month just by hitting that button and knowing how to do it, when to do it, how to negotiate the contracts, who to reach out to, so on and so forth. So,
A couple really good tips in there. I don't think I've ever heard of a trash middleman.
yep, there's a trash
But
middleman, cable contract middleman. Yeah,
it's great.
it
It's
is.
definitely important to shop around with those subs every year and make them compete for your business.
100%. We also make sure to, if our taxes are increased, we renegotiate with the municipality every year. So if they raise our taxes, we go back and we will refute that increase in taxes each time. And these are things you can't do on small properties. You can't do this on an 8 unit generally. Cable company is going to laugh at you if you walk up and say, "Hey, I want an exclusive right of entry agreement on a 4-family." But
Like you said, these little things add up.
Yeah.
And you've had success scaling. In order to scale like you have to have deals and you have to have capital. We've mentioned how you find that capital.
Mm-hmm.
How are you finding these deals? Are you going direct to seller yourself, working with brokers? What does that look like?
both. So we focus on specific markets, niche markets that we believe have opportunity. Then we establish a relationship with all of the local players in the marketplace. Usually it's brokers, it is property management companies, and it's owners directly. So those owners, we make it a point to let them know we are the active buyer in town. We are the person you should turn to first before you reach out to anyone else. And that has yielded huge benefits to us. In fact, we have 2 properties on the tracks right now that we're writing offers on that have not seen the light of day, like at all. Nobody's seen them at all. There's one that was brought to us directly by a broker who, might have brought it to 2 or 3 other people or groups that might be active in the area, which is wonderful because it never went up on the website. It never got email blasted out to 1,000 owners and 1,000 investors from California and New York and Miami who are coming in, and then they might mess around and offer on the deal at a value that isn't right, and then step in or retrade in the middle. And we find it's better when we can explain to an owner or a broker that we're the local buyer. We are the buyer for that property.
No,
you should turn to us every single time. And the
that.
other one is a direct to owner, where we reached out to him and let him know that we were the active buyer. And sure enough, we just stayed in touch. And now, we found ourselves sitting in the living room with he and his wife and having a conversation about buying their property. And, that also leads to conversations of, what are you going to do with your capital when you sell this property? Would you be interested in, being a capital partner on this opportunity? Obviously, the property better than anyone else. Is there any reason why you wouldn't consider, either utilizing a self-directed IRA or, leaving some money in the deal, or some seller financing, which is usually a difficult path when you're on these larger properties because agency debt providers don't allow for seller financing, but there are workarounds. You can have them come in as a limited partner on the deal, or be part of the general partnership team as well still.
Boy, do I love that concept where, we're only 1 or 2 parties on that deal. So, yeah, you don't get there day one, but once you do some deals and you're able to give brokers and sellers that confidence, you're able to be brought in where you're maybe the only person negotiating that deal or just a few. Ultimately, we all know that's how you get the best deal instead of competing with 20 other people. Also noticing, once again, it's having that confidence and certainty where when you're talking to brokers and sellers, they're seeing that you are the guy in the market, or your team is that group in the market, because it's not, they want to get the best price for their property, but they want to make sure if they're going to do a contract, you're going to close on this deal. That's a huge factor. So going from a 38, a 76, and a 70 unit, and then you jump to a 272 unit, Tell me about the uncertainty to making that huge leap and saying, "Yep, we can raise on this deal."
It's, you know, it is having the right team. That's what it is. It's having the right partners on my team that I confidently knew could take the deal down, that could qualify for the financing, that could, bring in our limited partners to back the deal. And we, it's not just me. It's about having the partnership team that could actually do it. I love partnering with others and other active investors that are able to raise money and that are able to help participate in the opportunity, asset manage the deal with me as well, side by side. But it's partnering with the right group, the right people to be able to get the deal across the finish line. And we're only limited to our network, and that's it. I love networking. I love finding people. I would love to have, conversations with anybody that would be interested in, partnering in one way, shape, or form, helping to, coming in and raising capital, putting in their own money, whatever that looks like.
You can't take everything down yourself. On the biggest deal I've done, it was only 8 units, a lot smaller than 272. But when it was presented to me off market, I saw it was a good deal, and I said, I need to take this down. I have no idea how I'm going to do it. But yes, Mr. Broker, I'll go through with that one. I'm your buyer. And then I'm telling Bill after, I have no idea how I'm going to get this capital, but I'm going to figure it out. And I think that's what it takes to really be in this industry, the ability to say yes, jump on it, and then figure it out. Was your situation kind of similar to that, where you saw the opportunity and you knew, I need to take this, we'll figure it out, I have confidence that we will figure this out?
In a gist, yes. I knew that my team could do it, and I knew that I could find the right. We had a couple gaps when we were originally, touring the property, let's say day one. We had some gaps on the team, and I knew that I could fill those gaps with the right people, and I did. And it's really just about finding that. Yes, having the confidence to say, I'm 75% of the way there. I'm going to make it happen. Let's figure this out. Like, no problem. We got this. We can do this. And sure enough.
Not if I can, it's how can I?
Exactly. Yep. How can I, and who do I need to do that? Like, who? Who do I need to be able to have on my team to make sure that we can get this thing across the finish line? And luckily I found the who's, and I'm continuing to look for more who's, because there's no limit to the amount of opportunity we can create if you have the right team.
Yeah, that's what I was so impressed by when we went to the mastermind down in Orlando. Me and you were sitting together. I was picking your brain on some of those efficiency ideas, and you're telling me that you have a 272 unit that you just got under contract. So I picked your brain a little bit, and just seeing the confidence that you had, where I'm basically saying, how the hell are you going to get that done? I'm going to get it done. Here you are. You closed the deal. You brought that right team together. You made it happen. And that's what it's all about. That was extremely impressive. This is the Collecting Real Estate show. So they say you have to have 3 of something to make a collection. So we've got 3 questions for you to end this great episode. Number 1, what is your 1 to 2 year business goal or goals?
This year in 2022, my goal is to acquire no less than 4 deals for a total of no less than $1,000.
Wow. Number 2, 1 to 2 year personal goal.
Kilimanjaro.
Wow. You are playing above the rim.
All the way to the top.
Wow.
Yep.
I love it.
It's a big one.
I love it. Yeah. I want to run an ultra marathon this year, and geez, Kilimanjaro. That's quite a feat. Number 3, how can Steve and I or the listeners assist you, and how do we contact you?
Like I've said in the earlier part of the show, I love having conversations with investors who would like to avoid being the landlord driving around town with a weed whacker in their trunk. Reach out to me if you're interested in investing in scalable, large multifamily. Generally, we're looking only at 70 to 300 unit apartment complexes in markets that make sense. They can reach me on my cell phone, literally, 850-797-1307. They can email me at lee@greenforestcapital.com. You can schedule a booking to a call with me on my website, greenforestcapital.com. I'm all over Facebook and the internet. There's not very many Lee Fjords out there, so literally you just type it into Google, you'll find me.
FJORD, correct?
Correct. Yeah, there aren't. Right. I don't think there are many that I know of, certainly in the U.S. So
awesome.
You'll find me.
That was fantastic, Lee. Very impressed, as I mentioned. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate your time.